Jason Chapman, welcome to Australian Musician, and thanks for having us on the at your position here on the Pink stage.
It is great to be here. Yeah. It's great to be here.
So, how long have you been with Pink now?
I've been with her since 2001, so that would be, 17 years?
Yeah.
17 years.
Yeah, because we chatted with the band about 9 years ago, and Paul Merkovich was sitting in. You were unavailable at the time.
Right, yeah. My wife was having a baby at that time, and Paul Merkovich filled in for me. He's an awesome pianist. Yeah.
So how did you get this gig originally?
I actually auditioned. Me and my friends auditioned. We all auditioned together, but it was a private audition. It wasn't a public audition. We had this agent from the music company. He told us to come down to New York because I live in Connecticut, which is about an hour and a half away from me. So I went down to New York, and he didn't tell us who we were auditioning for. So we went into this room, and we had sat behind the keyboards and everything, and we started playing. The agent walks in, and then after the agent comes in Pink. Pink comes in after that. So then that's how we found out we were auditioning for her. She asked us to play a couple tunes. We played a couple tunes. She walked out with her assistant, came back in and said, "We want you guys." So that's how it all started, and that was in 2001.
Yeah, fantastic. Tell me about the keyboard setup for this tour.
Oh man, so I have the RD, is it 3000? Yeah. RD 3000, and I have it's all Roland gear. And then I have the 06, the Roland 06, awesome keyboards. But I'm running main stage through them, so I'm basically using them as controllers. And my keyboard tech, Pro Tools engineer extraordinaire. He was the keyboard tech at first, and then he moved to Joe Wolfe. He moved to Pro Tools, but he set up the whole main stage thing that we have here, and I love it. I mean, the sounds out here are great, but these are just if you're going to go pro, you want to do something like this for main stage. So this is what I have, and then I have the organ here.
So a lot of the work is done pre-tour?
Yes. Most of it, when we do production rehearsals, we dig in, get all the sounds, everything in order, exactly how we're going to do it, and we run it. You know, of course, we run it before showtime or whatever, but we run everything and make sure everything works properly, make sure the sounds are pristine, and basically what you hear on the album is basically what you're going to hear in the show. Yeah.
And you have Adriana as the second keyboard player. I think the last tour there is only one?
No, there was two. But her name was Kat. Adriana actually was with me. She came in 2004, I believe. She joined Pink in 2004, but she left because she had a baby. And so when she left, we acquired Kat Lucas, and she played guitar and keyboard. So she would switch from the guitar to the keyboard. So, but yeah, so we had a keyboard player at that time. It was two, me and Kat Lucas. But now Adriana just joined us back. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite moment in this show?
Oh man, there's so many for me. Of course, one of them is when I play Reason, because that's a piano part, and I get to do a little solo at the top. But there's so many when I see Pink doing all her acrobatics and singing, and it just amazes me what she's capable of doing. And for her, it seems like the sky's the limit, because if she can think it, then she's gonna try to do it. Yeah. So I mean, there's a few, but Give Me a Reason and the little piano thing at the beginning is one of mine. Yeah.
All right, Jay, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Adriana Balic, welcome to Australian Musician, and thanks for having us here on your stage.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. How long have you been with Pink now?
Well, my story's a little different. I started in 2003 with Try This album, and I was with her for 5 years, so I toured on the Try This album and I'm Not Dead. And then I left the tour because I was 3 months pregnant with my boy. And so I kind of figured that was the end of my touring career, because I'd made a conscious decision to be a mom and to be there for my child. And I assumed that, I guess the touring is done, and if it's meant to be again, it will be. But and I had a replacement, and she's wonderful. And then in 2017, I was asked to come back. My replacement decided not to return, and it was my opportunity to return here in my spot. And I couldn't have written the story myself. I couldn't have written it any better.
Prior to doing the Pink thing, what were you doing? Who were you playing with?
Pink was my first big A-list artist. So before that, I did some R&B tours, and I did some TV one-offs in LA. I had moved to LA in 2003 in January, and I got the gig with Pink in August. So I had arrived and done a few little things, and then I got really lucky and joined in August. So 8 months after arriving. Yeah.
Tell me about your role in this show.
I'm the Swiss Army knife. I do all sorts of little bits and pieces that need to be covered. So on the keyboards, Jason's the primary, piano, organ, sounds guy, and I'll pick up things like strings and other sounds and whatever is needed around that to fill it out. And then I'm also singing backgrounds with Jenny and Stacy. And so I'm singing pretty much on every song and that needs backgrounds. And then there are some guitar parts that I play, and I get to play acoustic and electric. So yeah, I get to do everything. And then I shake my booty as well.
Tell me about some of the gear you're using up here.
Well, Roland has been really good to us, and all the sounds are coming from main stage, but the bottom keyboard is an RD2000, and the feel is really great. And the top keyboard is an FA06 that's more of a synth feel, and I don't really mind playing strings on weighted or non-weighted. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty flexible, although I prefer to do strings on lighter keys and piano sounds. I do a few piano sounds, and I don't mind. I'm pretty flexible, but I do like having the weighted keyboard.
Yeah. So you play guitar as well. Was keyboards, piano your first instrument?
Yes, piano was my first instrument, and then voice, and then guitars came along more recently.
So what are the guitars you're playing up here?
I'm playing a Taylor Koa top, and I think I can't remember the exact model, but it's a 200 series, and it is fantastic. And the Taylor people sent it to us, and it is my happy place. And then the electric is an Ernie Ball Albert Lee guitar, which just feels like butter in my hands and makes someone like myself, who's not a Justin Derrico guitar player, to be able to play guitar and make it feel really nice and easy. So. And it sounds fantastic too.
We present a 2-day guitar show here in Melbourne, and Albert Lee was the headliner a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, how cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar.
You've been out to Australia before. What have you been up to in your downtime here?
Downtime, sleeping. Sleeping is number one, and then staying healthy, and then whatever we can fit in that's fun is, I guess we had the best part of the trip for me, or one of the best parts, was our break, where we all kind of went different ways, and my family joined me, and we went to the Great Barrier Reef and snorkeled and went to Port Douglas and the rainforest. So that was, a bucket list item checked off. So that was pretty awesome.
Adriana, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, my friend. It's great to be here on the pink stage. We are in Melbourne, Australia at Rod Laver Arena. This is my huge behemoth of a kit, including all of my glorious Roland gear. What else can I say? I'm a happy man, a lucky man too. Not really. I mean, we put a lot of, there's a lot of rehearsal time. The band will get together for at least a couple of weeks just to refresh, and if there's any new material or reworking some of the arrangements, and then we do 3 or 4 full weeks of full production, which we did in Phoenix this last year, an old stadium, their old Coliseum, and then we do all the full acrobatics and making changes in the program, and then changes in the musical directions relative to the programs, and of course that involves changes in the electronics as well. Well, I always choose the setup based on the music. So everything has a purpose. So I'm very particular about the drums, the drum sizes, the electronics, where the placement of everything is, because it all has musical relevance based on what we end up doing. As an example, I used a full TD30 complete electronic kit on the Share tour because there's a lot of full electronic dance oriented music. On this, I'm just using more bits and bobs of Roland gear because it's more augmentation. Like I'm using a trigger pedal, and I'm using 3 different pads because that's what's most appropriate musically. Oh my gosh, I was one of the early fans of electronics. Back in 1988, I had the drum cat, I had an MPC 60. I was even going to do a video with the drum cat originally because I was playing melodies and doing a lot of stuff. So I've always had a definitive interest. And then I had piezo triggers on my drums that were set to the pitches of the drums. So when you hit the drums, I would get triggers of the actual pitches, until I found out that the guy in the front of the house liked the sound of the drums so much he wasn't even using the electronics. And I used to have a refrigerator-sized rack of samplers and processing gear. So I've always been very into it. Yes, we are in transition. We do love our TD30, and we have so much programmed that we are transitioning from programming the TD30 type of sounds into the TD50. And actually, the nice thing about the TD50 is we're going to sample the actual sounds from the record, whereas in the TD30, we are emulating the sounds from the record. Yes, since 1995, I've been with Vic Firth. My philosophy about gear is you use what you like. It's like your favorite food or your mate. It feels comfortable. So sticks are a very critical component. That's what we actually touch. The feel of electronics, the feel of pads, the feel of drums, the sound of drums, cymbals. There's so many variables, but I believe that you want to be true to yourself. So I can tell somebody, hey, use it because I use it. That it might not be their cup of tea. Like my wife does not like Mexican food. I can try to talk her into Mexican food. I try to talk her into Mexican food. She doesn't like it. She's a foodie. She likes French food. So we don't eat as much Mexican food as I'd like because it's not her cup of tea. But that's the same thing with sound and feel of any instrument. Is a very personal thing. Oh yeah, a few favorite moments. Well, I love playing the song Beautiful Trauma because it's just so groovin'. And there's a song called Secrets where a pink ant goes up with Kassam, one of the dancers, and does this beautiful aerials. But I'm using a lot of electronics in that, and I really enjoyed it. That's one of the few, it's like half electronics, half acoustic. So I get to play some triggered kicks, and I'm using the pads a lot, and it's kind of a swinging song. So we literally go from doing this huge rock song, we do a cover of Teen Spirit. So I'm playing as huge as I can, and then we do Secrets, which is a lot more subtle, more finesse, a little more funk, and more electronics. Well, I'll be very brief. One of the concepts that I talk about often, and the subject of my next book, is ABC, Attitude, Behavior, Consequence, which is no matter what happens to us, no matter what kind of adversity or stricken or external things that may influence us, we always have the power to choose, control, and embrace our attitude no matter what. And your attitude is your viewpoint. It's where you are looking from. Where you're looking from determines what you see. And it's your attitude. And you got to live with it. But what's critical about that is your attitude is what actually drives your behavior. And one attitude can drive many, many behaviors. And these behaviors determine the consequences of your life. So I am actively choosing attitudes and creating attitude shifts all the time to create and generate specific behaviors that produce consequences. And that's why I'm still here. I just came from my favorite restaurant, Cafe Cucina. just brought my friend Scaffy there, and Eva, the bass player, came because I had to go back there just one more time because they have just the greatest tagliatelle frutta di mare. I just love to eat and drink, and Australia has the greatest coffee. So my thing is soy flat whites. So I'm happy drinking lots of coffee, eating great food. Well, hopefully a few more things with the boss, hopefully a few bits of TV that we'll get to do with Pink and the band, and I'll be doing some events on my own. And I have an all-star rock band called Rockers Collective. We'll do a few shows. I'll do a lot of speaking gigs. I'll do some clinics, and most importantly, hang out with my perfect 8-year-old daughter and my beautiful Swedish wife. Yes!
Mark Schulman, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, mate.